Thanks, Ed. Well, a game between two players that are probably just looking to restore a bit of pride, a bit of confidence after the start they made to this particular Weber Cup. Dominic Barrett, the first man to step up, maybe being a little harsh on him there, but couldn't quite get things across the line in the Baker game. So the USA putting the first point on the board, and there's the man that he will be playing, Bill O'Neill. And Bill tends to get a bit down on himself sometimes when he plays. On his day, he can beat anyone in the world. We know that, hence his nickname, the Real Deal. That's not a good start, and a split that Dominic Barrett may struggle to convert.
Yeah, this ball has sailed on a bit. It's caught up in the oil. It's hit the head pin, but look, it's left a 2-4 and a 10-pin. So that is a split. It's a makeable split, and he can jump this 2-pin across into the 10, but he's got to be very accurate. Otherwise, it's going to be an open frame to start with. And unfortunately for Dom Barrett, it is an open frame.
Yes, our Max, not the best start for Barrett, which rather leaves the door open here for O'Neill just to settle in to this Weber Cup. Well, working it outside and gets a little lucky with the messenger.
Certainly was, Simon. Yeah, lucky Bill O'Neill. Didn't quite make the pocket here, but he's hit the head pin. The ball's coming back and it's very light, but there's a lot of reaction in the back end, and the 10-pin's gone, and it counts as a strike against Dom Barrett's open frame. So Bill O'Neill will be very happy with the start.
He didn't play his best in last year's Weber Cup. Wants to make up for that. Similar line from Barrett, and found the pocket well. I think what's difficult, Cass, early in a game like this and early in a whole contest like this, you are tight, and so we're not really seeing the players crank it up just yet, and they're just about getting to the pocket.
Simon, I've got a feeling there's a little bit more lane oil down there than these guys anticipated. And every ball that's bowled, of course, that oil's been carried down, so the break point is actually changing. And one or two of them have struggled to get to the pocket cleanly. That's a great-looking shot. Unfortunately, it leaves the 10-pin. That really was a good-looking ball.
Well, without doubt, that's the best shot that Bill O'Neill has thrown so far this year, and he's ended up with a ring in 10.
Yeah, he's in the right zone, in the right area. He's hit that down lane marker that you can see. It's on the 10th board and at about 42 feet. There's the 10-pin standing, and that's got to hang on, which it does nicely. So he stays clean after 2 frames.
We're talking about a lot of oil down the middle, not too much out wide. And it's how these players deal with that particular pattern. They need to find the line in. He still looks nervous to me, does Bill O'Neill. But as you heard, he's playing against a man whose form is the best that it has ever been. It has been a sensational 2014 for Dominic Barrett.
He is the reigning PBA World Champion, and this is why. Leaves the 4-pin standing, and he's got some dead wood floating around, and someone's shattered that timber, and that pin's fallen over, and that's 10 pins, and that's a strike. Just look at this. How lucky can you get?
Little love tap, as Tim Mack, former American captain, likes to call them. O'Neill then, straight up, not hanging around here, and that's much more like it. Now, that's the aggression, and that's the speed and the power that I was talking about, Cass. He went right after that pocket and got it in there with a lot of revs. Well, it's always good when you throw a shot that you want to throw and it gets you the strike, because then it reduces the amount of thinking you've got to do. Just get up there and make it. Dominic Barrett, though, is fishing around a little bit for that pocket. Again, tried to send it out wide, but once those revs took hold, ripped it across the front of the head pin.
Yeah, leaves the 3, the 6 and the 10-pin standing with oil, lane oil that has moved around. They can't see it, but they can tell by the ball reaction that it is moving around. And that's the right way to take that shot on heavy oil.
Yeah, that was the spare that Bill O'Neill missed, actually, in the Baker game. But no problems here for Barrett.
Yeah, depending on where they are on the lane, there is not an awful lot of hook. Once again, a little bit light in the pocket. 10-pin didn't go, so it could only be a spare. Working off of a strike, so he's gone strike, spare, strike, and hopefully another spare.
His 4 pins is nothing. prefer to have them in the bank rather than not, so spare taken out to leave Bill O'Neill on a maximum of 260, and again he's getting a little bit flustered, a little bit frustrated down there. That's how things look after 4 frames. Barrett, I think if he can put some pressure on here, Cass, he could come away with something from this game.
Just going back to what you were saying about 4 pins, the Baker game was won by 3 pins by the Team USA boys.
Good point, good point.
If you win by a pin, it's still a win.
Barrett, now that was spot on. Very controlled, and Team Europe captain Mika Koivuniemi looking on and enjoying that one, no doubt, especially because that's...
O'Neill working on a spare, still looking for more pins, trying to beat this lane.
Sticking with his particular line, just that little bit wider than Barrett, and then gets all that rotation to bring it up in the dry end of the lane. Watch this cutback and into that 1-3 pocket. Great stuff from Bill O'Neill, and responds very nicely to the pressure that Barrett has just put on him at the halfway point.
My dad bowled, my grandfather bowled, my aunt, my mom, everybody was into it, so I think at an early age I was just thrust into it, and I've been in the bowling center ever since. My most proud achievements are I won the US Open 2010. That's probably number one. That's the tournament everybody wants to win. You'd be hard pressed to find someone that was more competitive than me. It even trickles into my home life as well, where like my wife and I will play a board game, and I will get angry when she rolls a Yahtzee. I think it's the competitive juices that flow through you. This will be my 4th Weber Cup. First couple years went really well. We started off that way last year, and we had a great start, and then we really struggled the last few sessions, and the European team beat us pretty handily. So we're definitely looking forward to turning that around this year.
Weber Cup 15 well and truly underway now. Our first singles game, Dominic Barrett against Bill O'Neill. It's one of those games where neither player has really found a way into the pocket on a consistent basis. Barrett put a bit of pressure on O'Neill, he responded, and now Barrett suffering.
Yeah, I think Dom dropped his speed down on that ball. He's realised there is oil. Missed the pocket, leaves a single 6-pin standing. So he hasn't made any inroads into the very short lead that Bill O'Neill's got.
It's a real blink of an eye if you're not careful. Again into that 1-3 pocket, and I think O'Neill has finally cracked it. So he's going to keep throwing that line for as long as this oil pattern will let him. And remember, under the TV lights with the crowd in this environment, the oil moving around, things do change. Now then, Dominic Barrett is the man under pressure now. Has to find a strike. Does so. So that'll do nicely. But O'Neill still
so
managing.
far. He can strike out for a maximum score of 260. And that wasn't a bad shot either. Very unfortunate, leaves the 10-pin in the corner, so he can't improve on those 2 strikes in a row. His score also drops down. There's still just 3 pins in it now.
Off he goes on a little tour of the stage, muttering away to himself. Good spare. It was tagged for a long time, Bill O'Neill, as the best player on the PBA never to win a title. And had a real problem with it in the end. It became a bit of a monkey on his back, but finally took his first PBA title, and then the floodgates opened, started to get to televised finals left, right and centre. This is a very different demand, Cass.
Oh, well, yes, indeed.
Barrett starting pretty close to that ball return. And a good try there, but he has definitely moved a touch left. He's trying a little bit more width.
Yeah, he was looking for his second double there, and it was unfortunate not to get it. The 10-pin stands up. I that time you really wanted it to go. The six-pins jumped right round it and missed it totally. So his score drops yet again. Takes the spare away nicely, but we're 8 frames down already. And the only winner at the moment seems to be the lane, which is causing 1 or 2 problems for both these players.
Things can happen through the foundation frame into the 10th. O'Neill then off the back of a spare and back into the strike. So he's had 1 double in this game, which has countered Barrett's double that he had in 2 and 3. And that plus the open frame is the difference.
Yes, unfortunately it was the big open. And already we're up to the foundation frame, and Dom looks a little bit lost at the moment. Different line from Barrett. And this time it's the 4-pin. You could see he physically moved further left on the approach, trying to open up that lane. Look how far left he is there.
Yeah, there's not much of Yorkshire left to move into, I'm afraid, for Barrett. And that's a very unusual pin to leave for the right-hander.
Yeah, it's a 4-pin, which should be a straightforward spare, but unfortunately it's not spares that Barrett needs. The scores will go through the 220, 240s and hopefully secure a win.
O'Neill in a very good position at the moment. And that'll do very nicely. Bill O'Neill then makes it a double in the foundation frame.
And one would suggest that that will be the match winner. It's another double for O'Neill in the 8th and 9th. He's already got one previously in 5th and 6th.
But he's still got to do it. You never know. And a few little changes here, a little bit of gardening in the holes in the ball there for Barrett. Just changing things about with the whole of the tournament still stretching ahead. The 29-year-old steps up, the man who started out his working life as a stock exchange trader, by the way.
Change of ball for Barrett, and it hasn't worked, and the game is all over. Unfortunately, it was the 10th frame, and he had to try something to get some strikes. He used a different ball, a different line. It didn't work, and unfortunately, it's going to be another point for Team USA.
Yes, the man they call the Dominator has done anything but. So a small wave to the crowd, and a look of exasperation from his captain. O'Neill not really made to work for this one in the end, Cass.
He's clean all the way through. He's got. He's
Did
got a
you
split.
speak too soon? Well, it's makeable.
It's all right. He doesn't have to worry about it. He's got more than enough, and they know it. Tommy Jones, Chris Barnes know this game has already won. He'll give this a shot. It's the 3, 6, 7 and the 10. He can bounce that 3-pin across. Give it a go.
Well, Metrodome crowd on side with that one. They could see a trick shot coming up, but no need to make it because Bill O'Neill has proved that he's still the real deal here in Barnsley.